GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Toronto. I'm Jordan Parker. A boat crash at Humber Bay left 2 people hospitalized, and the city's traffic is snarling with World Cup match day restrictions and ongoing construction. Plus, we'll hear how Toronto earned its first WNBA franchise. Over to you, Nathan.
Indie Fridays returns to the Danforth Arts Center this Saturday, featuring 3 local bands, free entry, and a rotating schedule of craft beer tastings from noon to 6.
The event will also showcase a pop-up vinyl market, offering rare records, and a food truck corridor presenting vegan and gluten-free options for attendees.
Tickets are not required. However, organizers recommend arriving early for seating, as the venue holds approximately 200 people and previous weeks filled quickly.
We've got a packed afternoon ahead, so stay tuned as we dive into the day's happenings. Lots to get to. Let's begin. Good morning, Toronto.
Early Sunday, Toronto Police Service marine responders were dispatched to a marine accident at Humber Bay Park just after 5 a.m. A small boat struck the rocky shoreline of Lake Ontario, overturning and trapping its 2 occupants, a man and a woman. Both were pulled from the water by the unit and air lifted to the hospital for treatment of injuries sustained in the collision. Police confirmed that the crash was caused by the vessel hitting the rocks, though the investigation into any mechanical failure or operator error remains ongoing. No other vessels were reported in the vicinity, and traffic on the lake was temporarily halted while crews secured the scene. The 2 patients remain hospitalized, and authorities are urging boaters to exercise caution near shorelines during low light hours. Humber Bay Park, a popular waterfront recreation area, will see normal access restored later this morning after the cleanup.
An officer with the Toronto Police Service was seriously injured Saturday morning while attempting to detain suspects in a residential area of North York. Police had been dispatched to a suspicious incident call near the intersection of Avenue Road and Wilson Avenue just before 10:45 a.m. Upon arrival, 2 vehicles fled the scene, prompting a pursuit through the neighborhood. During the takedown, the officer sustained serious injuries and was transported to a local hospital for treatment. The Toronto Police Service confirmed the officer's condition as serious and said the incident remains under investigation. No further information about the suspects or the vehicles has been released. The service emphasized that officers were acting in response to the initial call and that the investigation will determine the circumstances surrounding the chase and the officer's injuries.
Yesterday, the city pulled the plug on redevelopment plans for the downtown property that houses Sneaky D's, the beloved bar and live music venue. The proposal, which had sparked concern among regulars and musicians, was formally withdrawn, leaving the venue's future unchanged for now. City officials said the decision came after reviewing community feedback and the cultural importance of the space. Sneaky D's, a fixture on Queen Street West known for its eclectic shows, will continue operating without the looming construction that many feared would disrupt the neighborhood's nightlife. While the withdrawal eases immediate worries, the venue's owners have not ruled out future improvements, saying they will keep exploring options that respect the bar's historic vibe. The spot, in the entertainment district near the path, has long been a launchpad for emerging artists. Officials said any new proposal will now need a cultural impact assessment.
Yesterday, the Toronto Blue Jays slugger Vladimir Guerrero Jr. turned down his invitation to the 2026 Major League Baseball All-Star Game in Philadelphia, electing to rest and concentrate on the second half of the campaign. Although he earned the vote as the American League's starting first baseman for his 6th All-Star appearance, the 2026-born power hitter said a recent down stretch left him in need of recovery. In a brief statement, he emphasized that the choice was strictly about preserving health and sharpening his performance for the stretch run. Club officials confirmed Guerrero Jr. will rejoin the regular lineup as soon as the season resumes next week. The All-Star roster now lists an alternate at first base, and the Blue Jays remain focused on maintaining momentum as they head into the pivotal summer months.
Yesterday, an attempted assault on a correctional facility guard in Toronto was reported, and newly released paperwork now ties the employee to a broader criminal network. The documents, uncovered by a province-wide police corruption probe, allege the guard participated in multiple illicit activities beyond the isolated incident. Investigators said the evidence links the guard to organized theft rings and drug distribution cells operating in the downtown core and surrounding neighborhoods. Police corruption investigators are reviewing the material as part of a larger effort that has already produced charges in several unrelated cases. The probe team emphasized that the findings could expand the scope of current investigations and may lead to additional arrests. Officials have not disclosed whether any suspects have been detained pending further inquiry. City officials said the revelations underscore ongoing concerns about integrity within the correctional system and its impact on public safety.
Later, we'll hear how 2 teens landed in hospital after a Scarborough stabbing and its impact on community safety. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, folks. Let's dive into what's happening in our city. Here's Nathan Cole with the local stories you need to hear.
Police said a stabbing was reported just after 10:40 p.m. Saturday at the busy corner of Lawrence Avenue East and Birchmont Road in Scarborough. Officers arrived quickly, secured the scene, and found 2 teenage boys with wounds that required medical attention, but were not life-threatening. Both youths were transported to a local hospital where they remain under observation. Detectives are reviewing surveillance footage and speaking with witnesses to determine what led to the attack. Neighbors said the intersection is a common shortcut for students and commuters, and the incident has raised concern among families who often walk the area after school. Police have asked anyone with additional information to speak with investigators, though no further details have been released at this time. The response time was reported to be within minutes, and the investigation remains ongoing as officers treat the episode as a violent incident pending further inquiry.
Debit and credit card purchases at Toronto's restaurants and bars rose 3% over the 2-week stretch from June 12 to June 26, the first weeks of the FIFA World Cup. Analysts had been watching the city's hospitality sector closely as the opening matches drew crowds to downtown venues. The modest uptick suggests that while the tournament sparked extra foot traffic, overall spending remained near last year's levels. For diners, the rise translates to slightly higher tab totals, though most establishments reported no dramatic surge in reservations. Bar owners noted a brief influx of fans after games, but many said the boost was short-lived as the tournament moved to other venues. The data gives city officials a snapshot of how a global event touches everyday spending habits across Toronto's food scene.
The Maple Leafs closed a 2-year contract with defenseman Emil Andry yesterday, adding a blue liner to their roster. The agreement, worth $3.1 million, runs through the 2027-28 season and spreads across the 2 years, fitting the team's salary cap strategy. Andry, who spent the past season developing in the AHL, will join a defensive core that has struggled with consistency, giving coach Craig Berube an option for both power play and penalty kill units. Under the 2-year term, Andry will be under contract for the remainder of the current season and the following season, giving the club flexibility as it shapes its lineup. For Toronto fans, the signing offers a fresh face to watch as the club pushes for a deeper playoff run. The deal also reflects the organization's focus on blending seasoned veterans with emerging talent to stay competitive in a tightly contested conference.
Yesterday, researchers at a Greater Toronto Area Nature Reserve documented a sharp drop in insect numbers, warning that the decline could starve birds, fish, and frogs across the province. Ontario entomologists, led by specialist Talia Rixay, said the shrinking insect base threatens the food chain that supports wildlife, and by extension, the natural balance that Toronto residents enjoy in parks and backyards. The team noted that insects have been dwindling for several years, a trend that reduces the prey available to songbirds during migration, limits the insects that hatch into fish food, and curtails the amphibian diet. With fewer insects, the ripple effect may be felt in local ecosystems, potentially altering the sounds of spring mornings and the health of urban waterways. Officials stress the urgency of monitoring and protecting these small but essential creatures.
Two 12-year-old boys were rushed to hospital Friday afternoon after losing control of an electric scooter near Cloverdale Mall in Etobicoke. Police said the scooter veered onto the sidewalk, striking the youths as they walked home from school. One child remains in a life-threatening condition, while the other suffered serious injuries but is stable. Emergency crews treated both at the scene before transporting them to a nearby hospital. The incident has prompted parents to reassess how their children use e-scooters on busy streets, especially during after-school hours. Toronto police are investigating the cause and reminding riders that scooters are not permitted on sidewalks. Authorities have not released further details about the scooter's speed or any potential traffic violations. The crash occurred during a period when many families are out shopping, and nearby streets saw a slowdown as officers secured the area. Passers-by reported hearing a thud before the scooter toppled.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what this afternoon holds for our city.
A stagnant high-pressure ridge and a westerly jet keep Toronto under thick cloud cover and calm conditions. On this date, the all-time high for Toronto sits at 34.2 degrees, recorded in 2010 during an intense heat wave that pushed the city well above normal summer values. The record low, 12.6 degrees, fell in 2009 when a sharp Arctic outbreak plunged the region into an unseasonably cold snap. Today's climatology expects an average high around 23 and an average low near 17 for early July, a modest swing from the extremes. The live radar screen is completely empty, showing no precipitation across southern Ontario at this moment. A shallow, moisture-laden layer sits beneath a broad high-pressure ridge, suppressing lift and keeping showers at bay. With the westerly jet aloft flowing at 96 kilometers per hour, any disturbance would be sheared away before reaching the city. Turning now to today's outlook, the sky remains overcast through the afternoon. At noon, the temperature holds at 22 degrees with a dense overcast and humidity near 100%. Steady pressure under a high ridge and a westerly jet streaming at 96 kilometers per hour keep the air mass stable. The lack of upper-level disturbances means no lift, so clouds persist without rain through the afternoon. Temperatures will climb gently to 24 degrees by 3 p.m., then dip back to 22 as the sun sets. The UV index remains at 4, low enough that no heightened exposure concerns arise. Winds stay light from the northeast at around 13 kilometers per hour, well below the threshold for gusty feels. A fog advisory is in effect for the Burlington-Oakville corridor, so drivers should be prepared for reduced visibility. Now let's transition to the 5-day outlook. Monday continues the high-pressure pattern, delivering a cloudy day with a high near 25 and a low around 17. Tuesday sees the clouds break, offering clear skies and a modest high of 24, while overnight lows still sit near 17. Wednesday the ridge weakens slightly, allowing another overcast spell and a warm high of 27 with a low close to 19. Thursday the jet stream dips, ushering a cold front that brings scattered rain showers and a 51% chance of rain, pushing the high to 29 and the low to 20. Friday the system retreats, leaving partly cloudy skies, a high of 24, a low of 19, and a 32% chance of lingering drizzle. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Coming up, traffic updates on match day restrictions, a preview of Indie Fridays tonight, and the Toronto WNBA expansion team. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
FIFA World Cup match day closures are the biggest headache this afternoon. All vehicular traffic is barred around Exhibition Place, Liberty Village, and Fort York, including Lakeshore Boulevard West, Strachan Avenue, and Dufferin Street. Drivers heading east on the 401 will hit lane reductions between Yonge Street and Don Mills Road, adding at least 15 minutes to travel time. The Queen Elizabeth Way also runs with reduced lanes from the East Mall to Bront Road, slowing traffic toward Oakville. Commuters on the Gardiner should expect spillover as displaced vehicles search for alternate routes. On the transit side, the TTC has deployed extra streetcar service on the 509 and 511 routes serving the stadium precinct, while GO Transit runs additional trains on the Lakeshore West Line to accommodate the crowds. The UP Express maintains its regular schedule, but we'll see higher passenger volumes at Union. Expect lingering congestion into the early evening as fans disperse.
Santana and the Doobie Brothers light up the RBC Amphitheater tonight, a must-see Oneness tour stop, classic rock and soul that will get whole family dancing. The show runs late, so claim a seat early for best view. 12 Beers of Summer pours at the Gladstone Hotel, where 12 craft breweries serve their best brews alongside live tunes and a tropical vibe, perfect for a relaxed sip after a busy day, with a rooftop patio for a breezy sunset backdrop. The FIFA Fan Festival still hums across the city, with giant screens and a party atmosphere that lets soccer fans catch every goal, while interactive games and food trucks turn the streets into a celebration. Salsa on St. Clair kicks off tomorrow on St. Clair West between Christie and Winona, a free street party packed with nonstop dancing, food, and family fun. Bring your shoes and appetite. The parade starts at noon, so arrive early to claim a spot on the dance floor. And now here's Marcus with sports.
Here's the latest on Toronto's baseball headlines as the All-Star break looms. Toronto Blue Jays right-hander Louis Varland learned of his All-Star nod after a leaked banner hinted at the news, but he didn't fully believe it until the league confirmed the selection for the 2026 MLB All-Star Game. Sportsnet reports. First baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has turned down his invitation to the 2026 MLB All-Star Game, explaining the decision through interpreter Hector Lebron. The Toronto Blue Jays star said personal considerations guided his choice, and he hopes fans understand. Sportsnet reports. On Saturday, the Toronto Blue Jays were blanked 11-0 by the Seattle Mariners as starter Shane Bieber endured a rough four-inning appearance. The loss underscored the team's offensive woes heading into the All-Star break. Sportsnet reports.
The Toronto WNBA expansion team, anchored at the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Exhibition Place downtown, just received the league's green light as the first franchise outside the United States. Led by Larry Tannenbaum's Kilmer Sports Ventures, the squad will tip off in 2026, bringing a professional women's basketball season to an 8,700-seat arena right in the heart of the city. The arrival means new jobs, local partnerships, and a rallying point for families and schools eager to see elite athletes on home court. It's a game changer for a city that lives for sport and community, and a bold statement that Toronto can host world-class competition for generations to come. Stick around as we celebrate Varland's all-star selection and the joy it brings to our fans, right after this break.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on gmna for the local sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
After weeks of uncertainty, the iconic downtown bar Sneaky D's will remain open after the city pulled a controversial redevelopment plan that threatened its future. Residents breathed relief as the proposal was withdrawn, preserving the beloved neighborhood haunt for locals and newcomers alike. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, Jordan Parker. I'm standing on the cracked wooden floor of Sneaky D's, the neon sign buzzing above the bar as a steady stream of regulars swirls around the high-top tables. The scent of sizzling jalapeno nachos mixes with the faint whiff of cheap beer, and the wall of vintage band posters is still plastered with concert flyers from the early 2000s. Behind the bar, bartender Maya wipes down the polished steel taps, her smile widening as a group of longtime patrons raise their glasses in a spontaneous toast. A banner hangs from the doorway reading, "We're still here," a reminder of the community rally that kept the place from being torn down. Councillor Diane Sax's announcement earlier today confirmed the redevelopment proposal has been withdrawn, leaving the venue's neon glow intact. This victory shows how a neighborhood's voice can protect its cultural landmarks, preserving the pulse of downtown for generations to come. Carl Dumont virtually at Sneaky D's.
In the bustling hallway of our downtown studio, the aroma of fresh coffee mingles with the hum of commuters heading toward the waterfront. I'm joined by longtime Bulldogs fan and community organizer Maya Singh, who just returned from a Friday morning meeting at the Brantford Civic Center. Maya tells me the club has taken a bold step, bringing former Maple Leafs general manager Brian Burke on board as senior hockey operations advisor. She paints a vivid picture. Burke, his trademark grin tucked under a brimmed cap, shaking hands with the young coaching staff in a locker room that still echoes with the clang of skates. At the same time, veteran forward Gary Roberts, who spent years battling injuries and returning stronger, has been promoted to vice president of hockey operations, a role that lets his gritty work ethic shape the team's future. What makes this move feel personal is the story Maya shared of a group of local kids watching the announcement on a community center screen, eyes widening as they saw two of hockey's most respected figures commit to their hometown club. The excitement in that room, the promise of mentorship and opportunity, turns a routine front office shuffle into a catalyst for hope across the city. It's a reminder that when leaders invest in their community, the ripple effects reach far beyond the ice.
In the quiet courtyard of the historic York Civic Center, just off Yonge Street, a handful of York Region officers gathered around a portable recorder, the faint hum of the city a backdrop to their careful listening. The documents unsealed this week show how that subtle eavesdropping on two local suspects uncovered a thread of misconduct that reached deep into the Toronto Police Service. One officer described the moment the recorder caught a whispered exchange about a planned cover-up, and the next morning the precinct's internal affairs unit moved swiftly, placing the implicated officers on administrative leave. Neighbors who had watched the community garden bloom for years said they felt a renewed sense that the system could still correct itself. A local mother, who volunteers at the garden, said she felt a weight lift when the news broke. The real payoff came when, after weeks of quiet investigation, the Toronto Police Service announced the arrests, accompanied by a public promise to strengthen oversight and rebuild trust. The community can breathe a little easier tonight.
Thanks, Toronto, for joining us on the lunch break. Today's look at the Humber Bay boat crash reminded us how quickly lives can change. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter, so tune in and stay informed. I'm Jordan Parker. See you then.